everyone. Thank you very much for joining us in our bi-monthly coffee or tea break uh, at Bits and Bolts. I am Armaan Sami, and sadly, there is no Stuart Clark today. So he is really south of the equator. Now he's taking some time off in Australia, but he'll be back with us next time in 2 weeks to conduct the next session. In today's topics, we have one planned topic and one topic that as we are having more and more people attend, we thought we would open this up to, we're calling it open mic. However, it'll just more be open chat because I want to give you all a chance to kind of give some feedback, but also see if there's something, a question, a concern, or a topic that you wanted me to open up and talk more about during that session itself. So it's chat, you don't need to say anything, but if you got any open questions, we'll handle it at the second part of this session during the open mic. But the first topic, one which I think is quite interesting, and one which is also that I'm seeing more and more come up, is the topic of device maintenance windows. Now, before I go into the MDM and show it to you, what is a maintenance window, or what is the kind of the concept here that we're going to show? Idea being that we have some users which are either very active in what they're using their devices for during a specific time of day, and what they're doing is maybe mission critical, cannot be interrupted, or any interruption could be very detrimental, maybe for someone's health, for responsiveness, or anything along those lines. The idea here is that if the MDM admin is not very aware of where these devices are, who is using them, maybe in different time zones, we can predefine a maintenance window, a gap in the day, where between these 2 points, only then will these devices start to have some interaction. We'll get apps updated, we'll have maybe a change in profile, or something that could interrupt the user's time. So this actually came up as a request due to one of the previous Bits and Bolts sessions where we had talked about the idea of app updates through the Play Store. So let me jump over to my MDM console and I'll show you just a quick reminder of what that was. So this is my MDM. And what I am referring to is if I click up here in App Store, we have the option here by clicking on the 3 dots and adding a new version. Now, very simple. In the case here of Sure Video, you would have just had to go to our website, 42gears.com, clicked on Downloads, which is up here, gone to Sure Video, then you could copy this link and paste it here, hit save, and this new version would automatically be updated into the MDM console. Amazing tool, very simple, because what it would then do for you is automatically find any device which had a profile, which had Sure Video in it, and it would automatically update that device's application version. So if a App Store app is linked, Sure MDM App Store app is linked to a profile, and that profile is assigned to a device, this would be an automated process in which that app would automatically get pushed to this device. So very interesting, a one-step activity to update an app versus in the past, you might have to reapply a profile or create a job to perform this activity. Now you're simply coming to App Store, clicking 3 dots and updating an app version. If it's an APK, same thing. However, the problem that started to come up was that we had users, let's say our apps being updated during times when users were actively using those apps, and that was a problem. So the solution that's actually been in the market now for a handful of months now, but the solution that we've been recommending is the idea of these device maintenance windows. Now, this device maintenance window, right now we're talking only about App Store apps, but it can also affect other jobs and activities. So don't think of it as just something for app updates. It's any job or profile that we push to a device. Now, how do I configure it? It's actually managed on the left side of the screen here within the folder structure. Same conception. If I make this at the home level and any subgroup would automatically be affected. If I take the lowest folder and just apply it there, only that folder would be affected. So this gives you, again, a little bit more flexibility. If you have some cases where maybe you have different types of devices or different types of users, you can configure them on a per group level as well. Now, all you're going to have to do is right-click the folder that you're looking to change, come down to Properties, and the first tab here is the default Jobs and Properties section. This is usually where we would add a default profile, default jobs, any activity that as soon as the device gets enrolled into the MDM, these things would automatically be pushed. That's there. It's been used for quite a while. It's a very long-lasting feature on Sure MDM. However, there are a couple other tabs here which are quite interesting, but the one that I want to highlight today are device maintenance window. So by clicking here, I can see that I currently have 0 configured maintenance windows, and this is by default. So anytime you come to device maintenance window, you click here, you want to configure something. For the first time, nothing is available. And that's what you're going to see. Once you click on configure, and when nothing is configured, of course, or it is set to none, you push a job or activity, you update an app, it will automatically be pushed to the devices. There is no gap, no delay. However, if I come here and click on none, I can now configure it to be either a daily window, weekly, monthly, or even custom. Now, just to kind of give you a handful of examples here, if I come to daily, I can say that daily between, and just use the drop-down menu. We're going to say, in this example, 8, and just to make it very simple, 8 and 11:59 p.m. This will be my maintenance window. And if I would have saved this, it would have been attached to this account or to this folder, and only updates would be pushed to these devices, let's say in off hours or times of the day when this is, when hopefully nobody is using a device. Now, if there's also, let's say, a scheduled update or a scheduled activity where maybe you need to be very restrictive for a period of time, but then you're going to remove it, you can also set a particular date and say, okay, this is only going to be the case until September 30th, and then you could save it there as well. This works if more or less you have similar schedules throughout the week, but usually what I see, and of course, depending on the industry and the user, this is variable, but what I find most helpful is the weekly configuration here for a handful of reasons. For starters, I'm going to remove this, but I can do things here and add multiple layers of schedules. So as an example, if I say that on Sundays, I actually don't care from the early morning or early time of the morning to the very, very late evening, anytime within that day, push an update. Because maybe this is a retail location or office workers, Sunday is a day off, nobody is performing any activities, so that's perfect. I want this. And then hit save, you see it gets grayed out, and this is now a window. Maybe that's okay, we can just wait and all of our updates will only get pushed out on Sunday, but you can also add additional schedules. You see that schedule 1 has just been moved down here. And schedule 2, I can say Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, because Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays are usually more busy. I'm okay with also having updates arrive to these devices. However, only during, let's say, 9, or you know what, we can even pick the other extreme now. And just as an example, come here and say we want from the early morning till 5 a.m. because yeah, between this window, no one's there and I can save it. So you have a lot more customization and flexibility when applying these different schedules here. And then once you have the configuration that you want, you hit save. You'll be notified at the very top with these banners, the custom property and these values have been updated. You ever want to go change it, remove it, change the status to none, you follow the same process, go to properties, and you can change it there. Now, just a caveat, something that from my user experience I wanted to point out, if you have a very complicated schedule, that's fine. But if you have complicated schedules per different groups, this could be tricky because let's say you have like a folder structure, you know, all my office locations, they have the same layout and time schedules. That's perfect. You make one complication here, and then for my production location, you can have other complications there, no problem. But if you have a very complex organization structure, having a simpler, even if it's a shorter span of time or a smaller window, but a simpler regulation for device maintenance window is probably the best way to handle it. It's like this simplest way versus having too complicated of an approach. Now, one example here, but as another thing to kind of quickly point out, if you had applied a job now to the right device, it would stay not in pending, but in the incomplete, it would have, sorry, not as the here, which is gray in progress, it would stay with the yellow icon as pending. It does not come up as a scheduled job. That is still something different, but it would just show as a yellow icon as a pending status in the device group list until it's scheduled to be pushed. And you would not see it again here, scheduled run, but you would see it in notes. It's applied and in pending status. If you ever did want to push it or force it, maybe you know that this device, they've called in, they're not working, there's an open ticket with them, you can at that point try to repush it or try to override it. So something to keep in mind. And of course, if you need to remove it, you can still come in and remove it either here or at the complete folder level by coming here to job queue. You'd see it here in the pending status, and you can remove it from that subfolder and any folder under it. Did see a question already. Okay, interesting question. So what we've talked about now as the device window is only applicable to to any job or profile. So any one of these two tabs. So if we're manually doing or forcing something to the device through one of these activities. Things like device updating of information, location, things in the background still continue. So it's not like this device is offline and not talking to the MDM system. It's still online. However, it's not taking these larger activities. That's it. Everything else is there. You can still remote control into a device. All the logs and everything are still being kept. There is the ability to change how often a device communicates to the MDM console. That is a NIX agent setting that we can configure in job as a NIX agent, or it can be done on a device. But that is something different. I usually only see that used in very, very large deployments of like, we're talking tens of thousands of devices, where we want to keep the load on the server, or if you're on premise and you don't have a lot of resources assigned to that server, is something that could be useful. So that would just mean that a device would not always be online, or the responsiveness of online offline would be slowed down. In this case too, if the device is offline, no profile would be taken or no job would be applied, but they're kind of two separate things. They can be interchangeable, but I would recommend using either the slower check-in times for if there's a server restriction or requirement, and using the device kind of windowed maintenance windows for anything else. Like I want the device to still communicate. Server load is not a problem. I'm in the cloud. 42 Gears is dealing with it, but my user should not be interrupted. So think of them like that. Okay, another interesting question is the idea that right now what we try to do, so it's kind of a little bit off topic, but since the second part was open chat, we'll address it too. The App Store update we have done here. So we have through the App Store section. Now, this is if we have our own APK, we are managing it, we are pushing it to the devices. Everything is kind of in our control. Perfect. However, if it is a app which is through the Play Store or through the through, like, let's say, the Google Play for Work application apps. So here we've come to add, and we've added it through the Play Store button here. How can we kind of manage the maintenance, or how often these updates, or when do these updates take place? So starters, because this is here in the Play Store configuration, it is theoretically handled through a profile, but it happens in the background. So we've actually configured how quickly a Play Store app updates within system settings. So if you are using Play Store apps, the maintenance window would not affect it. It would only be if you're pushing a new profile or a new app. What you would do in this case is go to System Settings, and I believe it's under Applications. Yeah, here you can change app auto updates, and you can say user's choice, which means the whatever is pre-configured on the device. Wi-Fi only or never. So in some cases, never is preferable. Always, just always update it. Don't ask, just do. And then you can check this box here, and it's very similar to what we did for the Play Store or for our Shure MDM App Store. But here you can then say, okay, the start time and end time, exactly the same as before. We can configure it here, and then it's set at a profile level. But just be aware, this is specific to Google Play applications only, not for APKs which are being pushed through the MDM. So just something to keep in mind. You could then save this, apply it to a device, and this would only affect Play Store apps, not jobs and not profiles, not things which are being pushed through the MDM. So there could still be a use case where you are doing both of these activities at the same time. So you might have to set the profile and the maintenance window. I won't save this for the moment, just so my updates always come through. And just because this might be interesting, you could theoretically then, in this case, still go to the Play Store. And if you're sharing private applications, which I don't have any now, but I could add them, you could do a similar approach to what we did in the Shure MDM App Store, just using the Google Play Store. There's pros and cons, different throttling to come into play here. But if one approach is easier for you, or sometimes organizations are sharing a private application through the Play Store, it's also available. So you could theoretically look at both options. Good. That is more or less what I was looking to cover with the device window maintenance windows. Definitely more. So you had some great questions. I would then just hop back into the presentation, and let's say we can get started with the open mic. Any questions, anything you'd like me to show or get into more detail with in regards to maintenance windows or other? Give you all a second while I lubricate my throat. For the sake of time, I don't see anything coming in right away, but I'll keep an eye on it. So if something comes, I'll answer it. As another quick reminder, next CTO webinar is going to be held on October 9th at 10 a.m. British Standard Time, or 11 a.m. for the rest of us in mainland Europe. Heavily recommended for a handful of reasons. For starters, these are things which are included within your MDM console. They're not things that you need to pay more for or add other pieces to. These are things that you can expect and start to even use in many of these cases right away. For instance, the next gen remote support we have already demoed and talked about. It is live for a couple operating systems, but it is interesting to see how it's affecting and different for other platforms. Sure MDM in Locate. I think you may have already seen or heard about through different marketing brochures and content, but it's definitely changed a lot since it's been released at the beginning of the year, and no one better to hear it from than Prakash himself. I think we had last time also done a promotion and this promotion was that if you sign up for this now during the time of this webinar, that you would be able to, or shortly after, you would get an additional point towards the raffle at the end of the year for the prize. We are happy to extend that as well for this meeting as well. So if you have not already, please sign up. It's definitely going to be interesting. Share it within your teams. It is a little bit more technical focused than sales, but always very interesting. And similarly, there will be, I think, a little bit of an open Q&A and chat at the end of that as well. Sorry, wrong way. As always, if you've missed one, you're on vacation or on leave, you can find any of the old, like myself and Stuart, last couple of weeks, you can find all of the previous Bits and Bolts episodes available on YouTube. You just scan that QR code or just search 42 Gears Bits and Bolts and it'll pop right up. Feel free to share them, take clips of it, but very helpful kind of resource for you to go back in time and see what we've discussed and talk about. For instance, that app updates that I showed you earlier in the SureMDM App Store was in one of these previous, I want to say the first handful of sessions that we had, if you want to go in and enjoy a refresher. Finally, upcoming dates. October 8th, there will be another session, same time, same place, same emails and links, and also October 22nd. So those are the two sessions scheduled for October. With that, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, I haven't seen any pop up, please feel free. You can drop them in there. You can also email us if there's topics you'd like us to cover or discuss, either at the partner marketing at 42 Gears, tech support if you need them, and of course you always have access to myself and Stuart at our email addresses provided there at the bottom. With that, again, a heartfelt thank you for all of those which have joined. It's amazing to see more and more people joining each and every time. So I'm very thankful for that. And I look forward to seeing you all on October 8th for the next session. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy your coffees or teas. Bye now.